Hello, fellow Earthlings. This is Earthling 6455463728. And I listened to Carlos Mencia's confession of stealing other comedians' jokes. And I wanted to talk about it. As usual, I am Earthling, yada yada yada. I'm an ex-Army reservist. I have a computer science degree. I got a scholarship a long time ago, which is great. So I don't owe a whole bunch of money. I've traveled a lot, Latin dance, ballroom dancing. I've done a couple TV commercials. One of them I wasn't supposed to be in, so they cut me out. But I got paid. And that's it for me. So I did two pieces on Carlos Mencia. One where he was on Tiger Belly, and the other one where I said that he's 100% not a joke thief. And, of course, because of that, stuff came up in my YouTube. At least one person commented on my video saying, yeah, he confessed. So when I came up and I saw that Patrice, this famous comedian who's dead now, listens to Carlos Mencia, admitting joke thievery, I was like, okay, cool. Let me listen to it. Nobody hates to be wrong, right? I mean, everybody hates to be wrong. And I wasn't really looking forward to being wrong listening to this confession of Carlos Mencia's. As a matter of fact, after I listened to that piece, I think that podcast, it was a call-in show, and somebody called in and they said that Carlos Mencia admitted to more stuff on this other show. So now I have to go listen to 2 more hours of this other show to hear what's going on with that, with his admission there. And I ran through everything. I mean, these 3 videos, audios, whatever, this has been the most time I've ever really invested into a topic since I realized that I just need to talk off the cuff and I can't write stuff because I'll just never get anything done because it'll never be good enough for me to write. And so there's a lot invested in this. So anyway, I went and I listened to Carlos, the clip that they had. It said, and I have to paraphrase, even though I listened to it a number of times. So he was on an HBO special. I guess it was about the Comedy Store, maybe. And it was talking about different comedians. And there was this bit where Carlos is like, people are going to say, why do you have Carlos on this show? He's a joke thief and da-da-da-da. And one of the things I want to say, and I mean this honestly, is if you think that I'm a joke thief, then hell yeah, I'm a joke thief. Yeah, And if you ever see me in the crowd when you're performing, you better run, so-and-so. You better run. Because if you say anything that is the slightest bit funny, I am going to take that thing. I'm going to add Mexican at the beginning. And I forget the next bit. And then he's like, I'm like a rapper, dude. I'm like a rapper, bro. I sample a little bit of this. I sample a little bit of that. Is it mine? Kind of sounds like it. Is it somebody else's? Kind of sounds like it. But you never know. I'm going to take that bit and make it funny. So, at the end of the listening to it, Patrice and the other people who were listening to the clip, they're like, that sounds kind of strange. I mean, they're really genuinely, the first time I listened to it, I was kind of upset with them. But they were really genuinely like, that sounds kind of weird. It's kind of odd. Do you think that he was being sarcastic? One person said, and Patrice is like, sarcasm? No, it wasn't sarcasm. And, but they still spent a considerable amount of time being like, was that a bad edit? Was it a bad cut? It doesn't sound like it was edited funny. And I was kind of upset. I suppose if I'd listened more and more to it, I probably would have continued to be upset. But right after listening to it, aside from Patrice's stuff where that was not sarcasm. There was some speculation thinking that, yeah, maybe it is that it's a bad cut or something. But to me, the first time I listened to it, I guess I felt my heart dropping, where it was like, oh my God, this guy's actually admitting to stealing this stuff. And I have a video up that said he's 100% not a joke thief. Oh my God, this is nuts. And then, they talk and talk and talk some more about different topics, and then they come back. And then there's a caller who calls in and said, yeah, Carlos admitted to all of this stuff on this other podcast, and yada, yada, yada. So I really wasn't thinking to go listen to it. But after I came back to this thing with Patrice, and I'm listening, and I'm listening, and I'm listening, and I'm like, this dude is clearly super frustrated. I mean, all right, let's say that you are going to admit to something, right? And let me just roll this right back, because this is what the stuff that I was thinking about before I got into this. Basically, I recall that Eminem has a song, and his song goes like this. It goes, "So I am whatever you say I am. If I wasn't, then why would I say I am?" Those are lyrics from an Eminem song, which is him complaining about people saying that he's a particular way when he isn't, and then, I guess, jamming it down his throat that he is this particular thing. And that is exactly what I heard Menicia saying in the clip. He's like, there are people going to say, why you have Carlos Menicia on? He's a joke thief, blah, blah, blah. And if there are people who think that I'm a joke thief, then, yeah, I'm going to steal all your stuff, and I'm just going to add Mexican at the beginning because I'm like a rapper, man. I just like steal bits and sample stuff. And I'm like, Patrice, that is not sarcasm. That is not sarcasm? You don't think that that's sarcasm? And they were actually, initially right after hearing it, and I guess, some time passed in the audio, and then I guess they just clamped down on whatever position that they took initially. And that was gone. It was like, I can't believe he's saying this. This doesn't look good, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, Jesus, oh. I know people, and I was trying to avoid saying like anything that's derogatory about anybody at all who honestly feels that this was a real confession. I remember listening to episodes of shows where people were wrongfully convicted, and this is kind of like that, where somebody gets so frustrated after hours and hours of somebody telling them that this is what they were doing, this is what they were planning, this is what they think, that they just say something. And yeah, this is the next thing that I wanted to say, which was that, right now there's a thing where there are deep fakes. You can take somebody's face, famous person's face, and you could put it onto another actor's body. And you can make it seem like that person actually did a thing. You can manipulate their voice to the degree that you can make it seem like they did and said a thing. But how much more powerful is it to have a situation where the person is saying, well, yeah, I said that, but that's taken out of context. How much more powerful? You can have a video with audio of somebody saying something that they 100% deny. But how much better is it if you just take what they say out of context and they will admit to saying it? That is obviously so powerful. And that's exactly what happened in this case, as far as I can understand. And I guess I find myself to be exactly knowing exactly how Carlos Mencia is feeling in this situation, because I remember I was on a summer camp one time, and I was just talking shit like, hey, I can beat this person at ping pong, completely and utterly joking. But the people that I was playing with, because of some prior stuff, they didn't like me. So when I invariably lost, because I had no opportunity to play ping pong, I had no opportunity to practice ever. So I lost, and they were like, "Yeah, you talking a lot of stuff," and I'm like, "Yeah, I was joking." "No, you weren't joking. You were being serious." And I'm like, "Okay, there's nothing I could tell you. There's nothing. You say I was being serious. Okay, that's the end of it. What can I do?" And I recall another situation that was exactly like that. And the only difference was that my sister was with me at the time, where this other person was telling me what I was thinking and the attitude that I had and all this other stuff. And my sister was like, she joked about the fact that the other person was doing this. And then I guess a light bulb went off in the other person's brain, and they're like, "Oh, wow. Oh, shit. I made a mistake." And then they stopped. Then they realized, "Whoa, okay. Yeah, that's my bad." The problem is that will never happen for Carlos Mencia. There's nobody who is going to come to his side and be like, "Look at all these stupid people who think that you're a joke thief." Hey, Carlos. Like a go-between person. Yeah? So anyway, I here it was. I was listening to this person, obviously. Yeah, I'm going to take whatever you say if it's the slightest bit funny and just put Mexican in front of it and take it. That is not sarcasm. You're going to just take somebody else's joke, put Mexican in front of it, and you're not Mexican. And then that's what it's going to be. And then there's a whole, whoa, So, okay, like I said, somebody called into the program that Patrice was on. He's the most famous person that I knew. So that's why I have to keep referring to him. I can't remember his last name. I know somebody else named Patrice with a different last name, and I have to make sure and just say his first name because I don't want to mix up the two. So anyway, this person had called in and said that Carlos admitted to doing this other stuff. Like, I guess people who were performing with him, who were coming up in front of him, he would take their stuff, and he admitted to it and blah blah blah. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe this is where I'm gonna find the real stuff, where he's admitting to it over here. So like I said, it was a 1 hour, and then there's a second part, so it's 2 hours. I listened to it at double speed. Okay, so at least the whole thing mainly just took me an hour. But I went looking there. It's like looking for a freaking unicorn. Because when I get there, Carlos is not admitting to taking stuff from other people. He is not. He's saying, it's possible that maybe I absorbed this stuff, but I still don't think so. I think that, and this is one of the things that I found. What's his name? Joe Rogan was saying that you're taking stuff from younger people, and that is this making them disillusioned and blah 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 blah. And one of the things that Carlos said that made perfect sense to me was that these younger people don't know me, and they don't know that I had a bit that is similar to their bit from 15 years ago. And this is the thing. Carlos has been performing from 1988. He's been performing from 1988. Is that 33 years? Because it seems like it's 33 years. And yet, he took Bill Cosby stuff. That's what they say. He took this stuff from Ari, whatever his name. He took a bit from George Lopez. As it turns out, it was, George Lopez says it was 13 minutes worth of stuff. Apparently, it was one joke about how two types of Mexican foods, it's like they had sex and they produced this other thing that they have at Taco Bell. And George Lopez went up to Carlos and was like, hey, that's my joke. And Carlos is like, what? If two Mexican things, they do that in commercials all the time. How do you mean this is your thing? So anyway, Carlos is like, George was like fine with it, but then George was basically saying, well, I've been doing it longer than you have, so you need to stop doing it. So Carlos said he felt affronted, and I would have felt affronted, most definitely. And he was like, well, no, I'm not, because it's a silly joke. And all of this stuff that George Lopez allegedly said, where he punched Carlos, and he never punched a Carlos. And when you really keep pulling at the loose threads, you end up with nothing. They don't lead anywhere. And that is the most frustrating thing about this whole thing with Carlos. I mean, let me tell you, I listened to this bit that Carlos did that he supposedly copied from Cosby, Bill Cosby, right? And listening to it, I was like, okay, at least this one, it really sounds like he took this one, okay? All the other ones seem to be dead ends. They seem to be totally dead ends. And I was kind of waffling back, but this one really seems like it. But because there's a pacing to the joke, Bill Cosby says, and you do this, and you do that, and you do that, and you do that, and then at the end of the thing, he says, hi, Mom. And when Carlos is doing it, Carlos is like, so you do this, and you do this, and you do this. And of course, using different words. And then, hi, Mom, at the end of it. So I was like, whoa, well, this one. But Carlos has continually maintained that he never saw it. He never saw the bit. And people are like, when you listen, people are like, well, everybody must have heard this one. Well, I like comedy. I don't run down comedy specials. I have actually tried to perform some comedy myself, and I guess I will be accused of being a joke thief because I'm not going to go listen to Bill Cosby stuff. I'm not going to go listen to all of these other people's stuff. And this is one of the things that I have to give this guy who had George Lopez on. Is it Marty Marin or something? At the end of this 2 hours, with one of the things that was revealed to me is that there are a lot of people who are very upset with George Lopez for this. It happened to at least two people. They were the headliner at the comedy club or wherever it was that night. Their name was on the marquee, and Carlos came to the thing, and he's famous. He has his TV show, and he said, hey, can I go on for 2 minutes? And then he goes on for 2 hours, and then I got fed up and I left and I went home and I was mad at him and da-da-da. So that poisons the well in their mind forever about him. And it's much easier to believe all of the horrible things that anybody could come up with about him because he would have done something like this to him. He might have done something like this to you. And no amount of, well, that's what people did to me on Carlos's part, makes people feel any better about it. And, I don't know how other people think, but for me, and it really depends. It really does depend, because Carlos does not drink. He does not hang out and shit talk about other comedians. So he's not in that circles, and he does not have anybody to say, no, Carlos is a good guy, man, come on. So that's what kept coming up. People who were pissed at him, and honest to goodness, it sounds like people who were just so jealous of him. Like, I heard Patrice himself said, "I never seen anything like this." Carlos came on and the crowd hated him. They were booing and whatever, and he just turned everything around. "I never seen anything like this." Or this other person would be like, maybe Carlos's problem, maybe he steals, is because he doesn't write anything. He doesn't write his jokes. So some other person is like, well, wait, this guy is not writing his own jokes, so I have to write my own jokes. And one of the things that Carlos is really proud of is that, and he says this, he will go to the comedy store or the club or whatever it is on a particular night, and people, comedians will say, "The crowd sucks, man, the crowd sucks, the crowd sucks." Number of people, they're not getting good responses, and Carlos will go on and get the laughs. And his thing is like, yeah, now I showed you, that's how you do it. After this comedian went up and flopped, this comedian went up and flopped, this guy flop, then Carlos comes up and makes them laugh. That's not going to make anybody feel nice about you. When you do the same thing that was done to you, where, this other person is the top name on the board, and you go on, and then of course these comedians exaggerate because they're upset. So when they tell the story, he came on, he bumped them for 2 minutes. He said, "Can I go on for 2 minutes?" And then he stays on for 2 hours. But then when you're sitting in front of Carlos, you're like, "It was 45 minutes, it was an hour, and then I left." But when you're telling the story, it's 2 hours that he was on the stage for, and you got frustrated and you left. But in front of his face, it's 45 minutes. So that means what? It was actually 15 minutes or half an hour? That seems to be what I hear from people at the end of the day. He steals jokes. Which jokes? Well, he stole Bill Cosby's joke. He stole Ari's joke, on a topic that was topical that many other comedians were joking about. Well, he stole George Lopez's joke about 2 Mexican foods that Taco Bell combined into one food. And when George Lopez told him to stop, he didn't want to stop. And that's one thing that somebody brought up is like Patrice. And I'm upset with Patrice. I'm upset with anybody, because a friend of mine told me, like, what is this whole thing about joke thieving? It's like, it's like if you go to let's say Coke and Pepsi. But Pepsi tastes like it's modeling itself like Coke. We have to like cancel Pepsi because Pepsi's like Coke. Really? Do ya? That's not how it works in business. Oh, look, Tesla is doing a lot of things like Volvo. So really? Is that how it works? But Patrice is like, for all these people who hear that he's a joke thief and you still go and buy his tickets. Well, is he funny? Did he make you laugh? What's the difference to you? What is really the difference to you? No, I get it. I get that. To many people, it's going to seem like, no, but it's my stuff. But one of the things that Patrice himself said, and other people said, was that originally they would have been like, "You stole this person's joke, you shouldn't do that." And then after a while, they were like, the effort in trying to be the joke police, not the content, but making sure that everybody stays in their lane and they don't use other people's stuff, is that you should have been just concentrating on making new stuff, making new material, not looking to see who does what. And does any of that excuse the fact that Carlos may have taken somebody's stuff? It has nothing to do, Carlos. one of the thing, listening to so many people, this is the extent that I heard of material that Carlos was stealing from other people. So one of the people who used to work for Carlos said that Carlos had asked them, hey, so what do you see things going for you? And well, the person said, well, I want to have my own tour bus, and then maybe in my tour bus I'm going to have motorcycles that I'm pulling behind the tour bus, so then if I want to get out and ride the motorcycle, I can do that. And then the guy's like, well, guess who got a tour bus? And guess who got motorcycles pulling behind the tour bus? And I was like, so he heard a good idea and he copied it? I mean, you mean like in life? My cousin once said that, you know what I'm going to do? I don't want to have a dresser. I want to have like shelves against a wall. That's what I want to have. And I'll just put all my clothes on these shelves so I don't have to open and close stuff. And I thought, hey, that sounds like a good idea. Let me go do that. And I went and I did that. She never said, oh, you took my idea. Maybe she didn't even know that she said. She was kind of forgetful. But just because everybody has good ideas, you don't own any ideas. And I don't know, this whole thing, as people tell me, like, no, he really admitted to it. No, there's this other part where he actually said it. This whole topic just is just one big, it's my life. Luckily it isn't my life, because this is where I'm going to end this whole thing, right? I have to give it to Carlos because I don't know what I would be like in his shoes. But one thing that I hear him say that I wish he would stop saying and just is that I want people to like me. F them, Carlos. They hate you. Whoever hates you, there's a new group of people who have never heard of you before, and they're coming out, and maybe you might get some momentum going. Who knows where you might get back up to? But stop. Just F everybody. Because honestly, if there's one thing that I've learned, I've absorbed in life, is there's nobody who's gonna be there for you. Maybe a wife, maybe a kids, but that's not what I mean. A lot of these people you think are your ride or die friends, just in life, just forget about it. Forget about it. Do not care. Do not care. Do not care. And I'll tell it to anybody. Do not care. Do not care. Do not care. This topic, there's so many different things. If I was really compelled to just iron out every last wrinkle and detail that I've heard from these hours and hours of going over this stuff, is that there is no justice. I mean, Patrice was saying this. He was like, yeah, well, you know, I used to be a joke police, and then I realized there's no justice. Well, Patrice, he's dead, he's gone, and he still thinks that Carlos is a joke thief. And he's gone. And all of these people, this man who has clearly been through, he's been called a psychopath, he's been called sick, all of this stuff, and this dude is just, is he 1,000% not a joke thief? Because I think he's 1,000% not a joke thief. And I think that these people are just haters. And not just haters, I hate to be the friends or family of anybody who listened to Carlos's confession and thinks that it was genuine, because it means that they don't understand the intricacies of the human mind and the voice and sarcasm and all of this stuff. So they must be really awful to be around. That's all that I could think of. Yeah. So anyway, this one took a lot out of me. Feel free to dislike, like, comment, subscribe, share. Look at other stuff that I put up. You can go look for yourself and see, what you think of this. If you understand that when somebody is, as Carlos himself said, I was frustrated, and that's why I said what I said. Because I'll take whatever it is that you have, the slightest bit funny. Where is the evidence of him ever taking anything from people that's the slightest bit funny, putting next? That's what Joe Rogan has said that Carlos does. And I didn't even know Joe Rogan was a comedian. That's the level that Joe Rogan was at. I didn't, until I started looking at his podcast, I did not even know Joe Rogan was a comedian. That is the level that Joe Rogan has reached in comedy. I have sampled some of his stuff. I can't believe I'm saying this after the whole ending. But I've sampled some of Joe Rogan's jokes, and it's just not my thing. Yeah. I'm sure he's incredibly funny if I go looking, but the stuff that I've sampled from him did not make me want to consume more. So there's that. Apparently he's cozy with George Lopez, and unfortunately Carlos Mencia pissed off Joe, what's his name? George Lopez. So what are you gonna do, right? So anyway, feel free to do all the things I mentioned in the same way as you would like it if somebody did the same to you. I wonder if anybody thought of treating Carlos the same way that they would want people to treat them, because it doesn't seem like it at all. Anyway, have a good one. Peace.